So today we're going to talk about Botox and fillers specifically. So I did a video a while ago on injectables, but we're going to talk specifically about Botox and fillers. So I don't know why lately I've gotten like an increase of clients who've had bad Botox and bad fillers. What does that mean? I post every once in a while those videos where injectors like hit a nerve in your face and then the whole thing like droops and then you have to like get it taken care of. That shit is scary. Number one. Number two, it's fixable. But like the milder case of that, let's start this off like I start off every videos. All of my videos, every videos. You guys need to do your research on the person doing your injectables. You need to do your research on what you're getting done and why you're getting it done. You need to do your research on what actually happens in the face. Like, what is this stuff? So when you're doing Botox or you're doing fillers, it's supposed to go into the tissue, right? They're injecting it into the tissue and then it makes the tissue do stuff. Botox helps to tighten, fillers help to fill, right? Okay, so what are the things that go wrong? Well, on the mild end, bruising and swelling that lasts more than a month. That's the mild end. Obviously, lymphatic drainage clears out everything under the skin, so it helps with the bruising, it helps with the swelling. Now, let's say you do Botox and fillers and you don't have a month to wait before that swelling goes down. It is safe because, again, that Botox and filler is in your tissue. It's not going anywhere, right? It's like in there. So we can get rid of the superficial swelling and the superficial bruising around that whole injected area that's gotten the trauma. We can get rid of that in a couple days, in a couple MLD sessions. So let's say you get this Botox and filler done and then you have like a wedding or like a baby shower or like you're on Zoom FaceTime thing for work. Lymphatic drainage can get rid of that swelling and that bruising a lot quicker than having to just wait for it to go down on your own and icing your face a million times and blah, 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 blah. So that helps with the mild end. But let's talk about when it's really needed, like super needed. When an injector is injecting into the planes of your face, one, they need to know where the nerves are. Two, they need to know where on the planes of the face they're injecting for what reason and not just injecting willy-nilly. And three, it needs to be in the tissue, not under the skin. If it's under the skin, it's gonna move around. And if it moves around, we have issues. Now, on top of it moving around, the swelling won't go away. You will visibly see the little pad of filler or Botox that's injected. And if it doesn't heal properly, you'll have little adhesions or scar tissue buildup, like crunchy stuff underneath there. Now, good news, we can totally fix that. I have fixed bad Botox and bad fillers that have caused scar tissue issues or like permanent swelling, which is not really permanent, but permanent swelling or things like that, like 2 years after, 3 years after. Now, the way that your doctor usually says to reverse something like fillers and Botox is by injecting it with like a dissolvent. That's not a technical term, but something to help dissolve the Botox and filler so it breaks it down and your body can reabsorb it and process it out so that it kind of undoes what the Botox and filler did. But that's like another injection and that's like more trauma to the area and your body would naturally process that stuff out if it was being taken care of. So what do? We do lymphatic drainage facials. We literally work on just the face, dilating your lymph vessels and getting that fluid to move so that it starts to go back into your body. Now, how do we know if that's a real thing? If you go back to your injector person a month after, 2 months after, 3 months after, and they're saying, oh, it's fine, oh, it's fine, oh, it's fine, wait, you should probably come and see us. You should probably get a consult, and we should probably start working on that ASAP, because I'm telling you, it's not going anywhere. It's never going to go anywhere, and it's only going to get worse, because that Botox and filler is now sitting under the skin instead of in the tissue. So it's blocking any lymphatic drainage that you were supposed to have going on. Okay, so like, you know when you wake up with like puffy eyes in the morning or like a puffy face and then like you lotion your face, you rub it, you like face wash, blah, blah, blah. And then like throughout the day, like the puffiness goes away or whatever, right? Or let's say extreme case, you have pink eye. Pink eye is an infection. This whole thing gets swollen. And then as it heals, it starts to go down. The swelling starts to go down. Your eye goes back to normal. That's your body's natural lymphatic vessels and tissue and stuff like that, processing out the fluid and getting it back into your body. So That happens in your body normally at a very slow rate. When you're talking about Botox or filler, it's blocking the lymphatic pathway. It's like a cinder block in your lymphatic pathway. So it's going to cause more swelling around the cinder block, and it's not going to move, and it's just going to pile up, and then it's going to spread. And it's going to affect the way your face looks. It's going to spread to parts of your face that you didn't even have Botox or filler in, and it's going to create a giant issue. We have been dealing with this and are still dealing with this all the time. So this happens to real people all the time. And you hear all these stories about, I've been going to my injector for 10 years and all of a sudden this happened. All of a sudden this is like a problem. Or like you go to some random person and they don't know what they're doing, or they're not as skilled in doing what you needed to begin with, and they mess it up and it winds up getting stuck in your face. It happens, but it's totally fixable. It's 110% fixable. So we lymph drain the face. We make sure you're drinking a lot of water. You know, we get all that stuff out, and your body processes that out. Now, with filler, your body may not break that down. So you may have to, after 8 treatments with us, we get as much possible as we can out. Now, there are other things I tell you guys to do, and other like places I tell you guys to go to get that filler broken down and treated that are not putting injections and more things into your face to dissolve it. There are other options. I talked about derma rolling, jade face rolling. There's tons of different things. It's different for everybody. But there are other alternatives rather than going in and injecting again to get that stuff dissolved. But there are ways, just like with skin removal and, you know, tightening loose skin, there are other alternative methods that we at Amare and me specifically recommend for each person differently to get you guys where you need to be as far as, you know, breaking all that down. But it can be broken down, your body can reabsorb it, and all of that swelling can go away. But this is something that I see. Why does this happen? Again, one, they injected and it stuck under the skin instead of going in the tissue or in the muscle. Number one. Number two, some people's bodies do reject Botox and filler. And some people are allergic to Botox and filler, which you don't realize until you get it done, and then you have a really bad swelling reaction. Random cases I've seen that with. Some people who get Botox and filler, it's not really taking care of it afterwards, but like your body already has a lymphatic swelling issue, so it triggers a massive amount of swelling that doesn't really go away very well. So that's another part of it. The main reason this happens is because people don't know what they're doing. Guys, if it is an injector in a gynecologist's office, in a gastroenterologist's office, in a pediatrician's office, in anything that's like, why is there an injector here type of situation, I'm not saying they're bad. They can be the best injector on the planet just renting a space. There is nothing wrong with that. But do your research, because usually if they're in a dermatologist's office, there's somebody overlooking these things. If they're just an LPN or an RN somewhere out there in the world doing this randomly because they took a course on how to do injectables, you really got to look into this stuff. Like, you really do. Get referrals, talk to the person beforehand, talk to other people that have had Botox and fillers and find out where they go. And not every doctor is going to do what you want. Like, not every injector is going to do what you want. It's the same thing, guys. You have to treat this as surgery because it's kind of the same thing. The recovery is kind of the same. Taking care of it is kind of the same. Yes, it's a lot less work for recovery, but there's a lot more margin for error. Like, a lot, because people take injectables too lightly. So PRP is another one. I had one of my very first, 7 years ago clients, this doctor called me, the doctor called me frantic, asking if I did lymphatic new drainage in New Jersey, and I said yes, asking if I had any experience with face and plastic surgery, and I said yes. She injected PRP into the scalp, but the skin on the scalp was very thin, and it's a lot of bone, and she didn't tell me if she injected too much or if she just didn't go into the muscle or whatever it was. But the PRP started leaking down these two girls' faces. And you could watch day by day. They came to me on day 4. By day 1, it was their forehead that was blown up. By day 2, it was their forehead and their eyes that were like disfigured and swollen. By day 3, it was like the bruising started coming down their face, as well as like the swelling in the PRP. And that's super scary, guys, because it's your face. And it was by the time I got to them, it was like their whole face. All of it had just leaked down. And again, It could be a range of reasons why it happens, because it does happen. It is a common thing, unfortunately. Doesn't mean it's right, but it's a common thing, unfortunately. And it is totally fixable, and it is totally correctable. And you can still, like, just because we do lymphatic drainage and get the swelling out doesn't mean that the Botox and filler are going to move. Again, because if it's injected properly, it's in the tissue, it's in the muscle. It's not sitting right under the skin. What's sitting right under the skin at the surface, as I talked about in all of my videos, is the actual swelling from the trauma to the skin. It's swelling that leaks out and gets between the tissue and the skin, and that's what causes the puffiness. So it's not going to mess up your Botox and your filler if we do lymphatic drainage 4 days after, and we do it 3 days in a row, and get that swelling out of there and clean it out. It's not going to move anything around because that stuff is in there. Same thing with an implant, right? So if we have a breast implant, or if we have a breast implant or a breast augmentation, and we're working around the implant on the sides and underneath, it's not going to move or shift the implant because we're not manually pushing on the implant and squishing it around. We're getting the swelling to get sucked back away from that area into the body. Same thing with the face. And this is why it's important to know who you're going to for this kind of stuff, because if you just go to a normal lymphatic person who says they do lymphatic massage and they're rubbing your face with oil or like rubbing around like this after you've had Botox and filler, 1, it's going to hurt. 2, it's going to be sensitive. 3, it's going to trigger more swelling. And 4, at that point, because you're rubbing into the muscle where it was, you may be doing some damage at that point. So if you're having these problems, feel free to contact our office. We can get you scheduled and get you set up to figure out your whole situation. And lymphatic drainage is definitely something that helps because it helps to drain the face, and it is safe for Botox and filler. So guys, please, please, please do your research on your doctor or injector or nurse or dermatologist or whoever is doing these things. Please do your research. If it smells fishy, it might be fishy. And ask questions. Ask them how Botox work. Ask them how filler works. Ask them, what's the healing process like? What should I expect? Be informed. Ask them all of these things beforehand so you know when something goes wrong. And if you're not sure, come in for a session, come in for a consult, and I'll be able to tell you if you think something looks wrong. If you got Botox and filler and you're like, oh, I don't know if this is okay, come in. We can get rid of the swelling or whatever it is, and I can give you guys guidelines and a path and a plan to fix whatever it is that's going on. So that was my short little ramble about Botox and fillers. Now, again, I know some amazing injectors. I know some amazing doctors who do, instead of facelifts, they do injectables that help bring the face out more. Now, keep in mind, if you really do need a facelift and you really do have that much skin and you're doing injectables, you're going to have to go back like every 3 months, like forever, to continue to keep your face looking like that. Some people would rather that than go under surgery. But again, do your research. I know some amazing doctors. I know some amazing injectors who do beautiful work that teach the same stuff I teach, that educate you guys the same way I do, to make sure that everybody's doing things the way they're supposed to and that things are coming out the way they're supposed to. So there are some great ones out there. Please, 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 please do your research. Please, 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 please make sure that you're being safe with this stuff. And there is always help. There's always a way to fix it. There's always a way to heal it. You're never going to wind up like that forever. And we will always figure something out. So guys, I will see you soon. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.